Let me ask you something real quick. Your parents, could they afford a house on one income? Could they pay off student loans in a few years? Could they take a vacation, raise kids, and still save for retirement, all on a single paycheck? Because a lot of your parents, they could. And you? You might be working 2 jobs, living with roommates at 30, and still feel like you're one emergency away from financial disaster. That's not a personal failure. That's a systemic collapse. And today, I'm going to prove it to you with data that the mainstream media is not talking about loudly enough. Here's the America that existed 50 years ago. In 1971, 61% of American adults lived in middle-class households. That's not my opinion, that's straight from the Pew Research Center. Nearly 2 out of every 3 Americans were firmly in the middle. A factory worker could buy a house. A teacher could raise 3 kids. A truck driver could send his kids to college without debt. The middle class was America's identity. Fast forward to 2023. That same number? It's fallen to 51%. 10 full percentage points gone. That's tens of millions of people who slipped out of the middle class, and most of them didn't go up. Now let's talk numbers. Because this is where it gets uncomfortable. The US Census Bureau says the median household income in America right now is about $74,500 a year. Sounds decent, right? Here's the problem. A standard middle-class life, mortgage, 1 car, childcare, healthcare, groceries, costs between $120,000 and $140,000 a year in most major metro areas. Do that math. The median American family is $45,000 to $65,000 short of what used to be called a normal life. That gap? That is the disappearing middle class. In real numbers. In real dollars. And housing? Don't even get me started. You now need an annual income of $126,670 just to afford a median-priced home in this country. The median first-time homebuyer in America is now 40 years old. FORTY. A decade ago, it was 31. That's an entire decade of your life lost to being priced out of the basic American dream. Credit card delinquencies are at their highest level in 13 years. 65% of middle-class Americans reported struggling financially. The middle class's share of total national income collapsed from 62% in 1970 to just 43% in 2022. That's nearly 20 points of income wealth gone. So who or what killed the American middle class? It wasn't one thing. It was a perfect storm of 4 forces hitting at the same time. Number 1, inflation hit wages like a truck. For decades, wages were stagnant while the cost of everything, housing, healthcare, childcare, education, exploded. You could work harder, get promoted, and still feel like you're falling behind. Because you were. Number 2, the student debt trap. Americans now owe $1.814 trillion in student loan debt. The average borrower carries over $39,000. We told a generation, go to college, get ahead, and then handed them a financial anchor that takes decades to swim out from. New hiring for recent college grads dropped 16% in 2025 alone. And more than half of recent graduates are working jobs that don't even require a college degree. Number 3, the housing market became a wealth club. After 2008, institutional investors, hedge funds, private equity started buying up single-family homes at scale. Slide right up. Prices doubled. The traditional path of get a job, buy a house, build equity, retire comfortably, got locked behind a door that most middle-class families can no longer open. Number 4, the income split up and down. Here's the nuance that most people miss: the middle class didn't just shrink at the bottom. Some people moved up too. In 1967, only about 5% of Americans earned over $150,000 in today's dollars. Now over 30% do. Here's the thing, while the top pulled away, the middle got squeezed from both sides. The wealth gap didn't just grow. It became a chasm. Now here's where it gets personal. Because this didn't happen equally to everyone. Black and Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, they were already underrepresented in the middle class. And they got hit hardest. Entire communities lost their foothold before they ever had a firm grip. Young people, especially millennials and Gen Z, entered the workforce during a financial crisis, paid off student debt for years, tried to buy homes during a historic shortage, and are now raising kids during an inflation spike. The system handed them the worst version of every chapter. Single-income households effectively shut out. A middle-class life in 1970 ran on one paycheck. Today, two incomes often still aren't enough. So is the American middle class dead? Not yet. But it's on life support. And the doctors are arguing about who's to blame instead of treating the patient. Here's what I think you need to understand: the narrative matters as much as the data. Both political parties have used the shrinking middle class as a talking point. Not for the algorithm, but because this conversation needs to be louder.